I know that some folks are like, oh my gosh, like I can't go on a hike and it's too busy or whatever. But you know what? Like even that, like we all know the busy places. If you want to go to Giant Ledge, you should know you're not going to have like a rustic wilderness experience of you being the only person watching the sunset from Giant Ledge. But you know what? Go hike the Huckleberry Loop, and you will never run into another person in all likelihood when you hike that. You know, there's plenty of opportunities to still enjoy the Catskills in any way that you want. And I, for one, you know, other than pushing the state to be more proactive about managing the park and ensuring that if there are challenges, that the challenges are met and addressed and resources are taken care of. I want folks to
Yeah.
experience the Catskills. The Catskills have made me the person that I am. I know they've made plenty of other people who they are, and you know, how how could I deny that to anyone else? It's really just trying to ensure, and that's partly my job and other folks that do it.
The bushwhacks were some of the worst days I've ever had in the mountains, or life, really.
And I tell people all the time, never underestimate the Catskills. You can't underestimate them.
Why the Catskills is such a great place for trout.
It was really the development of New York State. Catskills were responsible.
Now you're listening to Inside the Line, the Catskills.
So, Jeff, a lot of stuff going on in the Catskills. So, I mean, you probably already know you're well with the game and stuff like that in the Catskills. We have a new management plan for the Bel Air Ski Center. This is big stuff, don't you think?
I do think so. It's definitely progress for Bel Air, and there's going to be some new improvements. New ski lift is already starting to go in, so we're seeing the work start right now.
Yeah, and that's big because in the winter it's very hiking is kind of big in the winter, but a lot of people from the city come up here for recreational skiing and stuff like that at Hunter, Plattekill, and Bel Air. So that's good. Bel Air is been on kind of like the same level for a very long time.
Absolutely, and if anybody has skied there and been on that very old rickety lift that went from the mid station on up, you will understand why a new lift was needed.
Yeah, and especially after that landslide that happened, that took out. I mean, they fixed that, but that took out the second level building, correct?
Yeah, the upper lodge, it was an avalanche of sorts when we had that big rainstorm after a big snowstorm, and they had to reconstruct at least a good portion of the upper lodge. Now you would never know. They did do that, and then there's also a new lodge down below at the base. So things are happening at Bel Air. It's seeing record visitation, and the Olympic Redevelopment Authority, or ORDA, who now runs it, has been doing a really good job at bringing it into the 21st century.
Awesome, awesome. It looks good. It looks fantastic. Once again, I love anything that helps out the Catskills and brings visitors there and education there and stuff like that, as we are going to talk about tonight, as the Catskills Visitor Center does. And I'm excited. We had plans, Jeff, before. We had plans a while ago, but unfortunately, we had to break off of those plans for a certain reason. But that's okay. I got you back. I'm excited to have you here. So also, we also chatted before this to almost schedule this about the Catskill Club VUM, the visitors unit management. So that's a really big thing. You were there, I was there, and I'm very confident of what's going on.
I am too. You know, it's a new way of looking at managing the Catskill Park. I served on the Catskill Advisory Group, which was called by the governor. It was a bunch of folks, stakeholders in the Catskills. One of the main recommendations was the establishment of using visitor use management framework planning to look at the park. And so Catskill Clove is going to be our first pilot project. It is our busiest spot in the Catskills by far. has lots of places where people come and go, lots of different activities. And, we're looking forward to using the VUM. It's used at national parks, national forests, and many other public lands across the country. It was developed by a consortium of federal agencies as a planning tool. And it'll be the first time that we look at that here in New York. They're also doing a similar pilot program in the High Peaks and the Adirondacks. So the High Peaks and Catskill Clove are the two places in New York where this will be the first time planning effort.
And do you feel confident? You feel like this is a great thing?
I do. What it really is saying is that it's collecting information. So one step back. So really the goal of a visitor use management framework is to establish what you want the conditions to be in the long term. So, at Catskill Clove, the conditions may be, protected wildlands, let's say a certain experience for visitors coming to the falls, no trash, whatever your desired state of conditions are, you sort of start with that. You then identify and collect information to determine, where are you in the spectrum of being close to that desired condition or not. And then you identify management actions to bring you closer to that desired set of conditions. And this is really different than what happens currently in the Catskill Park and the Forest Preserve, whereas the state generally kind of has very passively managed the property and the recreational opportunities. This will be, if suddenly something starts becoming very popular or there's a resource degradation or something like that, like then you're going to have to slide that slider over and start managing more actively in that spot. So I'm very excited. It's one of the things I've always wanted for the park is for the state to be more proactive in its management as opposed to reactive. We've got plenty of instances where problems kind of get out of control in terms of visitor use or resource impacts, simply because folks at the Department of Environmental Conservation are reacting as opposed to preemptively working on solutions.
Correct. Yeah. And it's tough to get the ball rolling in New York State with certain projects. It takes a lot of time, which stinks. We all have, we knew that after COVID or during COVID that this place was exploding. The Adirondacks, every national park and stuff was exploding. So this is a really good and big step for not only the Catskills, but New York State to see, hey, what can these guys do? And hopefully they'll do the right thing and we can push it forward and make this a place for visitors, for everybody to come and enjoy instead of just, a load of people this time and then people got to be turned around to this place. It's a big step. It's a very big step and I look forward to it.
I do too. And, it'll ultimately it is a good thing that more people are discovering the Catskills and coming to the Catskills and wanting to enjoy all of our natural areas. But it's also, as you point out, a challenge of really just working to address that visitorship and giving folks the tools to do right. I think that's the other challenge of the Catskill Forest Preserve and Catskill Park is that in the past, people coming to visit, it's not a very user-friendly park. It's hard to learn the rules of the road, and it's hard to find the trails, and it's hard to do whatever it might be. And so the rise of the Catskills Visitor Center, stewards programs, public education, a VUM, all of these things are great steps in better connecting with folks who should be here and should enjoy the forest preserve that really is, it's New York State's Catskills. So I, for one, look to welcome everybody here, but just want to make sure that they've got the right tools to enjoy the place.
Hell yeah. Agree 100%. So awesome. Thanks for chiming in on that. It's a great new step that we all look forward to. And 2024 is the results of this, I believe. And I'm super excited for all the data that's going to be gathered for this. It's going to be really cool. Also updates on parking. So basically the whole Catskill Clove is now shut down for parking. You will, if you are parking on the side of the road of Catskill Clove anywhere from, I forgot the exact spot, but it's Palinville up to almost Hames Falls, you are going to be towed. It is off limits for any parking whatsoever, except for emergency personnel. So don't park there. I mean, the funny thing is, Jeff, is I think this podcast gets out to actually the people that already know that. So
Mhm.
I'm just trying to keep people updated. They probably already know that, but hopefully this can get pushed on to other people. People can relay that to other people. So that's a big thing.
It is a huge thing, and it's a big sea change. The town of Hunter, the Department of Environmental Conservation, and the Department of Transportation have all worked together. The whole Clove is now posted no parking, and as you said, if you do park there, you'll be towed to an impound lot up by the town hall in Hunter. There's also a new shuttle service that's running through the Clove. So the goal is to drive folks, park either in Palinville or in Tannersville and hop on the trolley, which will take you to. There's a number of stops throughout the Clove, and when you drive the Clove, you'll see the trolley stops. But it's it is also a pilot, though it's a private business that's running the trolley system. It's a kind of a test of concept. Like, can we get people around the Clove in a reasonable way? The parking and sort of pedestrian use we were seeing in the Clove through last summer was just a lot, and it was creating dangerous situations in terms of traffic flow or pedestrian safety in general. So, this is a test case. We're going to see how it works. I, for one, am hopeful that the no parking and shuttle service together will help people get around. But I'm sure that there'll also be fine tuning as we learn from this. This will be one of the inputs going into that VUM process too. But for now, make sure you don't park in Catskill Clove. The best places to park are the DEC lots on North South Lake Road, or the lot at the Mountaintop Historical Society, or the trolley is running in Tannersville proper, so you can use the municipal lots in Tannersville and hop on a trolley up there too.
Yeah. And that's once again, you talk about the shuttle bus, which I was researching. I actually contacted them to see if we can chat about the shuttle buses. Like you said, this is a pilot. I think it ran last year, but it didn't. I knew about it, but I didn't hear anything about it. There wasn't much going on about it, and they didn't have any information. So I was all like looking scattered for information, but I couldn't find much. So they have a site now where you can actually watch their GPS locations. You can see where they stop. They have 11 different stops that go from all the way to Hunter, all the way down to Palinville. One of the stops of, let's say, Laurel House, North Mountain, Southgate, Molly. I think that Molly Smith parking lot they do stop there because they can drop people off and they can go up there. So yeah, Molly Smith, yep. They stop a lot of different places. So if you have the thought of maybe going to the Clove from the Molly Smith parking area, you're going to have to take the shuttle bus, or you're going to have to park at the Mountaintop Historical Society and walk a couple miles down to the area, which you probably don't want to do. But once again, preaching to the choir here. Catskill Clove is closed off. Platte Clove is also sort of closed off, I'm pretty sure. Like, you can't park anywhere on Platte Clove, or is it?
Platte Clove is a challenging area. We here at the Catskill Center, we own the Platte Clove Preserve there at the top. So it's DEC owning the state land and the town trying to manage parking there. There is the parking lot on Steenberg Road for the long path and for the snowmobile trail there, but it quickly overflows, and there's very limited parking on the street by our preserve. So there is a lot more no parking signs, and I believe the town is there enforcing those signs much more often than they have in the past. And same challenge in many ways as Catskill Clove. We saw last year emergency vehicles weren't able to get down Platte Clove Mountain Road because cars were parked on both sides of the road there at the top, and it was making it too narrow. So this is another effort to try to address that. One concern I have moving into the future is if we push too hard in Catskill Clove, that's gonna, if we don't proactively think about these problems, they'll just come over to Platte Clove, and we'll have an even worse parking problem. So we're working on that with the state and with the town, and trying to figure out kind of what the best way forward there is. But again, the best advice, and I'm sure most folks listening understand this, but if you see a no parking sign, don't park in front of the no parking sign, because it's highly likely, I should say, that you'll have a ticket or be towed when you come out of the woods.
Yeah. And that's, and like you said, everybody's working together to try to get everything as good as it can get. And just with the way how things have been moving here in the Catskills in the past couple of years, it's tough to catch up. It's actually, I would say, it's almost near impossible to catch up because the way it has exploded here, it's way it's exploded almost everywhere. I mean, a lot of other places, like you go up to the Whites and stuff, they have pretty good stuff going on, but that's also a national forest. They have big, massive parking areas. Here, we haven't been near thought about that yet. And our biggest parking area is the North South Lake region, and then Slide Mountain. It's just
You're very right. I when I'm in meetings with folks, and part of my job is trying to know everything that's happening across the Catskills, and if it's a challenge for me, for the average person, it's darn near impossible. But it's really a lack of imagination on the state's part. Like I said, we have been in such a reactionary phase for so long that thinking of the improvements that you see in like White Mountain National Forest, or in the state parks up there in the White Mountains, they're light years ahead in terms of managing visitors, and it's not perfect, but definitely light years ahead. And that's why at the Catskill Center we've worked so hard to get the stewards out in the high use locations and things like that, because we one of our most common things we do, especially for the stewards at Catskill Falls, is tell people where they can't park so that they avoid getting the parking ticket, because we will see people come down Laurel House Road, park in the spot that you clearly can't park in, but the folks are wanting to see the falls, and we're able to redirect and do that. Other questions quite often are like, what do I do? And what else is
yeah.
there to do? So, it's getting folks in and out of those high use locations safely, and avoiding tickets, and also directing folks to places that maybe are more appropriate for them to enjoy.
Yeah. And Jeff's here with the Catskill Visitor Center, helping out every inch of the Catskills as we can. And that's why I have him on here tonight to talk about his experiences with the Catskills and his, you've been here for life practically, correct? Like your family's been here for life, right?
Yes, yeah. My father a long time ago had a place up here, and we have been here ever since. So
See, he's a lifer here.
Well before I was born.
See, he's a lifer. All right. So one thing that just came up that we're going to go over, the last thing, I just got this from the DEC in the week in review. So I got to go over this. This is actually pretty funny. On June 21st, so that was 6 days ago, forest rangers were notified that approximately 60 people were setting up camp on Giant's Ledge in Slide Mountain Wilderness area. Why did they call it Giant's Ledge? It's Giant Ledge. Am I correct?
I would say you are.
I'm sick and tired of people calling it Giant's Ledge. All right. 60 people that they were setting up camp on Slide Mountain or Giant Ledge. Horn, Martin, and Rusher made a contact with a large group from New Jersey and educated the group leaders on wilderness regulations. While primitive camping is allowed, campsites must be at least 150 feet near the road, trail, and body of water. Yeah, camping for more than 3 nights or groups of 10 requires a permit. So they issued tickets to trip leaders exceeding the permitted size, and it provided information about several legal campsite areas. 60 people. Wow, talk about overrun, but it's a beautiful spot. I can't blame them.
Well, right, and I'm not defending any actions, but if you don't know, you don't know, and
Exactly.
the state does not make it easy to understand the rules and regulations. There's very dense rules and regulations posted at trailheads that I highly doubt most people read. Trying to navigate DEC's website can be an
Oh
exercise in
God.
patience. So like, and it's very hard, and even at places like the Catskills Visitor Center and stuff, we can only intersect folks who know to stop there, and or run into our stewards out in the field. And so, it is a challenge because, you and we clearly know, like, you're not supposed to camp within 150 feet of water, trail, or road, and on and on. And, you need groups, you need a permit for more than 10 people, all of that. But if you don't know, like, it's almost impossible to find out unless you run into that ranger going, what are you doing? And
Yeah.
that's kind of when you don't want to run into the problem. You want to do it from the start. So that's one thing, that also in a lot of the work that we were doing on that Catskills advisory group was trying to get DEC to be more proactive and partner with all of the stakeholders like the Trail Conference, the Catskills Center, the 3500 Club, also the tourism agencies that work in the counties to start collaborating and getting the same messaging out about the basic rules of the road when it comes to the park and helping people understand. So before they arrive, they already have an idea because right now they should have known, but
Yeah,
also how would have they known? So
exactly. Like you said, instead of being reactive, proactive.
yeah,
Once again, like you said, there's times when you can't find information online, and it's just like, okay, let's go do this, and then unfortunately you do something that's illegal, which you had no clue about. You are innocent. You're not innocent, but you are totally unaware that this was the regulations that they have. So
right.
yeah, so crazy incident once again. Jeff once again is working together with everybody to try to get this a better place, and everybody's trying. So don't lose hope on anybody yet. So I was going to go over this, Jeff. My friend sent me this, but it looks a little weird. But I'll go over it really quick. A Florida man and his stepson died Friday while hiking Big Bend National Park in Texas. So Big Bend, the kid was just 14 years old, became sick and passed out. At the time, temperature in the park reached 119 degrees Fahrenheit. So crazy stuff that just happened a couple days ago. So usually I go over that with splits of detail, but I haven't got over. So, all right. Good shooting the stuff, Jeff. Thank you very much. I love the information you pour into that. So there's great. Welcome everyone to episode 81 of Inside the Line, the Catskill Mountains podcast. Today I'm joined by Jeff Senterman of the Catskills Visitor Center, who is extremely knowledgeable and extremely helpful of the Catskills in these past, 20 years, 20, 30 years when you've been here and your father's been here. So you guys have as exploded with information on the Catskills, and you've helped the Catskills with amazing amount of detail that it is really, really great that we have you here. And you better freaking stay here. That's all I got to say. You better not move.
I love the Catskills. So
good. Thank you for joining me on the show, Jeff.
Thank you.
Also, thank you to the monthly supporters, Darren White, Vicky Ferrer, John Comiskey, Jim C., Michael Bongner, David Mead, Matt Smith, and Sharon Klein. Thank you guys very much for supporting the show. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you to Outdoor Chronicles Photography for being sponsor of the show. So Molly from Outdoor Chronicles Photography specializes in adventure elopement and adventure couple photography in the Catskills, Adirondack, and White Mountains. Also, don't forget your pets, though they are just as important. Jeff knows that. She is also an officiant for Getting Married and a Licensed Guide. Don't hesitate to get a hold of Molly on all platforms. She posts stuff daily about her photography experiences, her guiding experiences, and her elopement experiences, and they are absolutely stunning. Check her out on all platforms. Also, have you ever wanted to learn more about hiking or backpacking, or even brush up on some of the old skills in your old skills in the backcountry? Check out Trailbound Project, a hiking and backpacking school made by Scott Finnerman and Joe Galvin from the New Jersey Search and Rescue Team. They have amazing skills for you to learn and old skills of new hiking and backpacking. Check them out on their website and all social media platforms. Those guys are excellent. So thank you, Ultra Haysayer, for buying me a coffee today. I really appreciate it. Today, I was up on Minekill State Park doing some disc golf. Absolutely fantastic. And I got the message. Thank you very much. Jeff, are you having anything to drink? You having a coffee?
I am.
Nice. I got it.
I gotta work all day. I gotta stay up in the evening. So totally need a coffee.
Yes, I agree. And you are a busy man, so understandable. I can't drink coffee past like 12, or we'll stay wired all night long. So
the about now is my cutoff, so I probably will be up late today.
Okay, good. Yeah, so I'm just having a good old Union Distillery vodka and Sprite. So good stuff. Just threw that in. Like I said, just got home from work. Me and my buddy went to Minekill State Park, and we did disc golf around there. They have 18 holes of fantastic disc golf going through open plains and then going through the cut of the woods right by the reservoir. If you're ever there, stop there and have some fun. It is fantastic. I've never done disc golf in my life, but I am hooked now. I don't know. Have you ever done disc golf, Jeff?
It has not been something I've ever tried. I've seen others enjoying it. Maybe I need to check it out.
It's fantastic. It's fun. It gets a little frustrating at first because you're lallygagging, but then you learn how to throw a little bit harder. But they have open views of the Catskills. I mean, and they have, right next door there is a snack bar and stuff like that. You can rent the disc. Absolutely fantastic time at Minekill State Park. I'm hooked on disc golf, and I'm probably going to be doing it again in the future. So, Jeff, have you been? Wait a minute. Actually, also, you've been on a hikes, sir. Where'd you go last Wednesday?
I went with you to the top of Overlook to watch the sunset.
Yes, Jeff joined me on my Alzheimer's Association longest day hike. I thank you so much, Jeff. You and Mo were there, and I was so happy. I saw you guys coming up afterwards. It was so good.
Yeah, we were racing up because we missed the beginning, but glad that I could make it after I snuck out of work. So
Yes, Jeff was so kind after the CPAC meeting, right?
yes, yes, yeah. I was over in Margaretville, so came back and threw the
Wow.
pack on and came up Overlook. So thankfully it wasn't Tremper because I might have not wanted that much of a hike that late. But Overlook is
Correct.
always good. So
Correct. If I wouldn't have I chose Overlook because it's a nice leisurely hike. And like anything else, I'm like, Red Hill's too far away, number one, for everybody. But it's easy. But I'm like, Overlook is like kind of like right there for everybody. And it is an enjoyable place. One of my favorite views in the Catskills. But thank you for joining me. We had a great time with like 12 people join me and joined us really. And I had a fantastic time. We raised over $1,500 for Alzheimer's Association. And I'm very thankful for everybody for donating. And I'm very thankful for everybody who showed up for an actual fantastic sunset. It was a beautiful sunset, got great pictures, and I couldn't have asked for a better time. The only crappy thing is I went to bed at like 12:30 and woke up at 3:30. So 3 hours of sleep, shot up, had to go to work. So Jeff, thank you for joining me. I hope you had a good time.
oh, I had an awesome time. It's things like that in the cat. That's what makes the Catskills wonderful and living and working here is that, that's possible. So I'm always up for that.
Excellent. Thank you once again. Thank you everybody for donating to the Alzheimer's Association. Really appreciate it. Also, volunteering. Please, everybody and anybody should volunteer. Me and Dick Vincent talked about that last time. One person volunteers 8 hours of their life one time a year. It will make a drastic improvement on any trail anywhere in the world. So 3500 Club, Catskill Trail Club, Catskill Mountain Clubs, Catskill Visitors Center, very many other places to volunteer. Jeff will talk about that tonight. He'll chime in about volunteering tonight as well, as they have opportunities at the Visitors Center and any other place else that he can suggest as well. So volunteer once in a freaking 365 days. Please volunteer 8 hours. That'll make a drastic improvement. Trust me. All right. So Jeff, how about we try to go into some Catskill Mountain history real quick?
Sure.
Okay, so like I said, I just grabbed this book really quick before I came here because I had no time whatsoever. So I have this book called The Catskill Mountain House by Ronald Van Zett.
Yes.
Awesome book. Have you read it before?
A long time ago. So don't ask me to quote it.
Phenomenal book with amazing information. So when we were hiking Overlook Mountain, of course, you come upon the ruins of Overlook, and you are like, "Wow, this is majestic." In its heyday, it must have been absolutely amazing to see this. And one of the big questions we all had were the rates of these places. We're like, "Man, what did it cost back then to stay here and stuff like that?" So luckily, Jeff, when I was whipping through this page, I opened up to this page, and it showed me the appendix, and it says "Rate Policy of the Mountain House." I was like, "No way." Unbelievable. I don't know how this could happen, but we had that all had that question of like, what, like, of course it was all these magical places in the Catskills were for the wealthy. The Catskill Mountain House was massive place that only the wealthy could go. And then we of course moved on from that. And then we had, what was that place called in Pine Hill that a lot of people could actually go there?
Oh, I am you're making my brain stretch here, but it was there were different level hotels depending on where you were. So, and depending on what ethnic group or religion you were too. There were different
Yes, correct.
hotels available. So
Yeah. So I'm going to read this real quick. It's just a very long paragraph. It talks about basically rates of the Catskills Hotel. And some of these numbers are absolutely astonishing. But remember, this was the early 1900s and the late 1800s that these were the rates of. So rates at the Mountain House were always consistent with its reputation as one of the most foremost hotels in the country. When 1843, N.P. Willis wondered how the proprietor could have dragged up and keeps dragging up with so many superiorities from the river level to the Eagle's Nest. The answer was by charging high prices. Most patrons recognize the necessity of these prices and agrees with Harriet Montagu that it was worth paying something extra to have one's bodily wants well provided for such an inaccessible mountaintop. The policy of charging high prices also guaranteed the selective clientele of the Mountain House. Less affluent or fashionable people were forced to patronize the farms and boarding houses of the surrounding valleys and plains where the accommodations were always cheaper than the mountain hotels. But rates at the Mountain House were even high by comparison with the usual mountain standards. Before the Civil War, they were on the level with most fashionable summer resorts in the United States. And it says, i.e. Saratoga Springs, for $2.50 per day. Yet the Laurel House, which was also a mountain hotel, charged only about half of that amount. Auxiliary fees at the Mountain House always added substantially to the basic charge. Coach fare to and from Catskill and a trip from the falls, for instance, added another $4 or $5. Such prices may seem ridiculously low to us today, but in 1846, two maiden ladies from Philadelphia would not stay in a farmhouse near the Catskill Falls Hotel until the proprietor had reduced its price from $5 per week to $2 per week. By 1897, we learned that the price of board in the Catskills varies from $5 a week to $3.50. The Laurel House charged a maximum price of $3.50 per day at this time. The Mountain House, by comparison, charged a minimum of $4.50 per day. Concurrent prices at the Overlook Hotel, which we were just talking about, were $3 per day or $15 to $20 per week. In 1881, perhaps to undercut the high prices to the new Hotel Catskill, which was on the South Mountain, the Mountain House announced a great reduction in rates and dropped its rates from $4.50 a day to $2.50 or $3 a day. Wow, competition really crazy is that. At the same time, it announced special low rates for preseason month of June, which was $2.50 per day or $14 or $17.50 a week. This meant that even during the midsummer rates of the Mountain House for 1881 were slightly lower than those for the Overlook, which was $3 and $3.50 per day, and substantially lower than the Catskill, which was $4 per day. The highest in the Catskills was Catskill Hotel, which was $4 a day. At the same time, such second-class hotels as the Laurel House charged $12 to $20 per week, or about $1.70 per $2.85 per day. Unbelievable. So let's one sec, Jeff. So once again, that's pretty cool that this happened. I don't know how that happened, but
well, now we know.
So now we know $2.50. So let's see, 1843 to 2023. So wow. So the increase of value of $1 from 1843 or 1879 to 2023. So a value of $1,000 is, hold on, God, it's tough to.
It was a lot of money back then, and it would be a ton of money right now, I bet.
So let's see. So $2.50 starting year of 1897. Calculate $2.50 in 1879 is worth $76 today. So that's not actually that bad. Like for the highest things, but still, how is that possible? That's ridiculous. That's got to be.
I feel like that's not enough, actually.
But yeah, exactly. This is a lie. The internet is a lie because it feels like that would be thousands. But I'm just thinking like gas was like 5 cents, so it probably
Well, and for a while it was
but
horses. So
but still, that is a price increase of 2,941%.
it's
So
always inflation.
exactly. So once again, awesome information from the Catskill Mountain House by Ronald Van Zett. I just love reading this stuff, and I love hearing about the history of the Catskills. As Jeff knows, it's endless.
It is, and it's amazing. Like I don't know if you feel it, but like go to the Catskill Mountain House site today, and you think about what it was back in the 1890s. It was a tourist land for rich folks from New York City. Everything around you was developed, and you can wander through the woods of North South Lake now, and you can find remnants of these things. But the story of the history of the Catskills is that something the Catskills, they were logged, they were quarried, they were turned into a tourism destination, and then they recovered to become the amazing natural area that they are today. Like that to me is the most amazing part of it. Like standing at Catskill or at the Mountain House site or the Hotel Catskill or whatever it might be. Like think about 150 years ago how different that place was, and now you're standing in a wilderness.
Yeah. Once again, great point. Like if you stand at Catskill Hotel or Catskill Falls 150 years ago, that might have been all chopped down so you can see everything. You can have a beautiful view or stuff like that. And now it is pristine. So, well, not pristine, but still, it basically makes you feel like you are like alone out there. It's just like, wow, this is.
One easy way to think about it is many of the Hudson River School paintings of the Catskills, the artists kind of made them more wilderness than they were, because the situation they were seeing was a place that had been logged, and that was, quarries were everywhere. Every extractive industry that you could think of, tanning, etc., was happening. And so they really created an idealized wilderness. And so today, what we look at, like when we're looking at Catskill, matches more of a Hudson River School painting than when they actually painted it.
Yeah. Wow. Awesome information. Just love it. Thank you, Jeff. I really appreciate it. It's a great way to think of it, that, some of the places you stand at were nowhere near like that 150 years ago. Hunter Mountain, if you looked over towards the south, that would have been dead. Everything's dead because of the tannery and stuff like that. Same places with like Prattsville and everything. A lot of those lower places were completely cut off. So awesome information. Thank you, Jeff, once again. So let's do some sponsor real quick, and then we'll head off to Jeff's session. So also, you want to get some new gear for the Catskills? Say no more. Camp Catskill in Tannersville has all your hiking needs, from spikes and snowshoes to moisture wicking skirts, Catskill memorabilia to freeze-dried meals. I got a bunch of freeze-dried meals. I got an awesome shirt. Actually, I'm wearing it right now. A Catskill Mountain Fire Tower shirt. Beautiful stuff. Camp Catskill in Tannersville has awesome stuff. Please stop there if you're in the area. Get some Catskill memorabilia. Get anything there, because they have top-of-the-notch stuff. Check them out. Also, if you're ready to hit the trails, make sure you take the scenic route. Our guides are helping you whether it goes big or small. Scenic Route Guiding, gear rentals on Instagram and Facebook. Look that up for more information. Also, if you mention the podcast, you can use 10% off. Use the code Mountain Lion. All right. Right. Jeff knows the Mountain Lion stuff. He knows that they exist.
I want to believe, right?
They're everywhere. I've seen them inside your house, Jeff. I know you have a mountain lion inside there.
She might think she is, but
okay, so let's get on to the guests of the night.
Let's go.
So tonight we have Jeff Senterman here from the Catskills Visitor Center. Jeff has been a lifelong Catskillian. Is that how you say it? Is that how we say it? Catskillian, right? That's perfect.
I've heard it. Yeah.
Catskillian. So Jeff has been a lifelong Catskillian, and he has dedicated basically his life to the Catskills, and we are very appreciative to have him here. So it's about time that we get Jeff on here to talk about what he has done for the Catskills and get everybody to appreciate what he has done for the Catskills and what his family has done for the Catskills as well, because they have done a bleep load for the Catskills. So I did that bleep myself. So Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm now totally blushing from all the kind words. So thank you.
That's good though. I like to have people smile here because this is like I don't know if I told you this. This is not a professional podcast. This is a fun podcast. So you could have as much fun as you want. That's what I want you to do. So
Well, if that should be everybody's goal is to have a good time. A lot of this, I know, a lot of the stuff we talk about, people get very heated and very worked up on so much about so many different things, not just the Catskills, but the Catskill Park is a wonderful thing, and we should all be happy that we have the Catskills, and everything else is just a distraction. Like we have the most amazing place in the world right here, and we should be enjoying it.
agreed. 100% agreed. So how about a little background about yourself, Jeff?
Sure. So, I grew up as a weekend person, really. I can't say that I'm a local because that would require a few generations of my family to be here, but we have always had a place in Platte Clove. Grew up during the week in the Hudson Valley, and on weekends we're here, from the time I was born until till right now. Went away after high school to Vermont for college, lived in New England for a while doing environmental permitting and planning kinds of things. Ended up living in Massachusetts, being a consultant, helping developers make malls on tops of hills, and very ungratifying kinds of work that taught me that I never want to be a environmental permitting consultant ever again. Had a chance to come back to New York and come back to the Catskills, first working for the New York, New Jersey Trail Conference. So I was their Catskills person for several years, and also got involved in supervising a lot of their trail programs across their entire region. And then had the opportunity to come to the Catskill Center as the executive director. So the Catskill Center for Conservation and Development is an organization that's been here in the Catskills since 1969. It's done many different things over the years, but really its mission that whole time has been the protection and enrichment of the environmental, cultural, and economic well-being of the Catskills. And you hear me say that, that kind of means we can work on all kinds of things. But kind of in the recent history, since I've been executive director, we really focus on trying to protect our communities and trying to protect our environment, and sort of how that can go hand in hand. And one of the kind of great examples of that is the Catskills Visitor Center, which opened back in 2015. We've been operating that as a visitor center for the entire park. It's the official visitor center for the park. We are in partnership with the state there, greet thousands of visitors a year there, give them information, have a shop where they can get, their maps or whatever it might be, and then also direct people out to all the resources. We also have started the Stewards program since 2018. So we're placing paid staff throughout the Catskills at high use locations. Currently, it's at Peekamoose Blue Hole, Catskill Falls, Platte Clove. We have a Ridge Runner on the Devil's Path. And we have stewards now this year at two fire tower, or at all of the fire towers, but there are two people on any one day. So there's volunteers at the fire towers on weekends, and then we have paid staff during the week, so that no matter when you climb a fire tower, you'll run into someone. So this is really kind of an opportunity to intersect and educate folks. The other big thing I do in the Catskills in my role as executive director is I tend to think of myself as kind of chief cheerleader for the Catskills, and I'm really here to celebrate anybody, any organization doing good work, and advocate for them, and also just advocate for the Catskills in general. Since I came back to the Catskills, both at the Trail Conference and at the Catskill Center, I spend a lot of time in Albany. It's very true that the squeaky wheel will get the grease, and the Catskills were not a squeaky wheel prior to working, me and several other folks, the very first Catskill Park Day in Albany, where we went up to Albany and met with legislators and stuff. I think there was 5 of us. There was me from the Trail Conference, someone from the Catskill Center, and someone from the Catskill Mountain Club. And legislators would ask me when I would start my spiel about the Catskills and why they should support them. They would say, "Where are the Catskills?" And and
Ouch.
this this coming from like an assembly member from Westchester who has to drive by the Catskills to get to Albany. And so, there was many years of education. Nowadays, I could generally knock on a door, or many times it's Zoom. Unfortunately, we've gotten away from in person, but we're slowly getting back. They're like, "Oh, you're the Catskills guy," and so we went from no resources, say 8 years ago, to the last 2 years. The Adirondack and Catskill Forest Preserves have their own budget line in the state budget for $8 million. We have funding for the Visitor Center. We have funding for the Catskill Science Collaborative. We have funding for the Hemlock Woolly Adelgid project that's raising biocontrols, all kinds of things. And, that really is just a steady partnership and collaboration between myself and others, educating our legislature and educating our governor or governors, because it's been a few governors now,
Yeah.
about the importance of the Catskills. There's the I think the beauty and the challenge of New York is we have so many amazing places. We're a big state. It's not just natural places. We've got many communities. We've got one of the largest cities, in the country. We've got the Adirondacks and the Catskills. We have the Great Lakes. We have, and the Hudson Valley, everything in between. And it's very easy to kind of get lost in that shuffle. And what we have been doing is pointing out the importance of the Catskills really to the entire state, and how the Catskills are a crown jewel of New York. They supply 90% of the drinking water for New York City. So 1 billion gallons a day of water travels downstate from here in the Catskills. So even if you think nothing else of the Catskills, we are really the lifeblood of our nation, one of our nation's greatest cities.
Yeah.
New York would not be the city that it is without the clean, steady water from the Catskills. So that alone is, a reason to protect what we have here. But then we have so many other reasons. We have, the high peaks, we have the forest preserve, we have communities that are nestled in that. We have just wild and amazing places that are a handful of hours from one of our greatest metropolitan areas. Like the superlatives could go on and on. So,
Yeah.
we're here to just uplift this region, make sure it gets its due in terms of what the bigger New York picture is, and go from there. I'm overjoyed. Like, if you had told me as a kid, as I was graduating high school and was going to school in New England, like, that I would ever come back and get to work and live in the Catskills doing a job like I'm doing now, I would have been like, meh, that would never happen. Because,
Right.
growing up, I always wanted to kind of be a park manager, and it was my dream. Like, oh, wouldn't it be awesome to be the park manager of the Catskills? And, then life took on, and I never thought it would happen. But now I'm here at the Catskill Center. We do so much. We work with so many people. I get to work both, institutionally and organizationally with people, but I also just work with an amazing group of people that care about the Catskills across the board. And it is just the most wonderful thing. And in a way, I get to be that park manager, and it's, how cool is it that the circle went all the way around and brought me back to the Catskills to do the good work here.
That seems to happen a lot with the Catskills. The Catskills always brings everybody back, and that's what makes my heart explode, because it shows how deep this place is with a lot of people. Everybody sees the high peaks, the Adirondack high peaks. They got open space summits and stuff like that, but the Catskills just have its own vibe of bringing you back and being like, man, this place is magical.
They sure do. I have never traveled somewhere else and not run into people that know about the Catskills on some level.
Nice.
I was in a hotel parking lot in California, and someone asked where I was from, and I said, the Catskills of New York, and that person was like, "Oh my God, my grandma took me to the Catskill Game Farm years ago." Like, and they had this amazing memory of the Catskills. Like, there's just so many different connections, and I feel lucky that I got to be able to grow up here. I grew up volunteering. My dad and I were both big volunteers in taking care of the trails. When the Trail Conference first moved into this region, my dad actually helped get the program off the ground and ran it as a volunteer for 20 years. I got to hop in and out as I went to school and stuff, but taking care of trails, building lean-tos, being involved in sort of always the conversation of the Catskills, I tell folks this place gets into your bones, and even if you go away, even to an amazing place, like I lived in Maine, and Maine is amazing, and I loved it, but I always was like I kind of miss the Catskills, and
Yeah.
now that I'm back, and I've been back for quite a while, it's just an amazing place to be, and an amazing place to be able to do good in. And to your point about it touching everybody, a couple of years ago, we had the Leave No Trace Foundation here doing some work for us and for the state, and for some other organizations to look at how can we be better at doing our work across the park. And one of the takeaways they said to us is they had never worked in a place where all the different people involved and all the different organizations involved got along as well as we did, and were as dedicated to the place as we were. And I think that's the best testament. They had no skin in the game. They weren't making that up just to make us feel good. They've worked across the nation, and the Catskills are special. They're unique, and that just speaks to it, because it's not just the mountains, it's the people that are here too.
Yeah. The Catskills were the birthplace of America. So I mean, New York City started it, but Catskills also was where the blood and soul of America as it was started. Farming, stuff like that, logging stuff. It's where it was. So, Jeff, one big point that you did not mention: where is the Catskill Visitor Center located?
Yes.
It's a big point.
It is a very good point, and thanks for catching it. The Catskills Visitor Center is located on Route 28 in Mount Tremper. So just, I guess it would be just east of the Emerson, if you know where the Emerson is, and just west of Boyceville. So kind of in between the Emerson and Boyceville, is the best way to describe it. They're open in the summer months through October. We're open 7 days a week, 9 to 4. And we have staff there all that time that are happy to kind of dive into any detail that you need. And if they don't have the answer, they will find the answer for you. They're also available on Facebook and Instagram, and through email, or just pick up the phone and call them, so you don't have to be there. But I would highly suggest you stop in if you haven't. Back in 2020, one of the side benefits of COVID was we were in the process of doing all new exhibits. COVID, because we were shut down for a while to the public, we were able to get all those new exhibits in without too much disruption. So there are, I can't say all new anymore because it's 2 years or 3 years almost, but new exhibits that really dive into the history, the culture, and the environmental kind of place setting of the Catskills. So definitely check it out. There's a ton of information. There's a ton of, they might be my staff, but I also know they're really good people, and they're really dedicated to the Catskills, and are happy to help everybody have the best Catskill adventure possible.
Correct. And also they have stuff to purchase there as well. Books, hats, patches. I've been there many times, and I love that place. I love going back. I've bought many books from there. And of course you can get your trail maps from there, especially the newly updated ones, right in Mount Tremper. Awesome spot. Also, they have when there's somebody there, or even when there's not somebody there, there's bathrooms. Just to let you know, that is an excellent spot to stop. Sorry to say that, and then you'll buy something. So
no, it's there aren't very many public restrooms along Route 28. So
correct.
If that is a claim to fame, I'm happy to take it.
Rock on. So also, I mean, we kind of just broke down some of the stuff at the Catskill Visitor Center. So can you explain what the Catskills Visitor Center is? It's like a welcoming place, correct?
Yeah, it is. It is the realization of a very long dream. In the 1980s, Assemblyman Maurice Hinchey, who was the local assembly member in the New York State Legislature, started calling for the establishment of a visitor center. And at about the same time, visitor centers started being thought of and developed for the Adirondacks. And 2 were built in the Adirondacks, one in Paul Smiths and one in Newcomb. And funny story, I was at Paul Smiths when it opened. I must have, I was very young. I don't remember exactly when this was, but I was young, and I was listening to Governor Mario Cuomo open the visitor center there in Paul Smith's, and he was promising that a Catskills visitor center would be opened shortly thereafter. And what happened was Mario Cuomo didn't win his next term, and Governor Pataki wasn't as keen on visitor centers as Mario Cuomo was. So, but the state had worked with the Catskill Center to buy that land on Route 28. So that land was purchased, and the road and the parking lot and the kind of infrastructure was put in, but the building was never built. And so many people might remember it as kind of the bridge to nowhere, because there was an access road and a bridge, and then there was this random field with a parking lot
Oh, wow.
for the longest time. And shortly before, so Assemblyman Hinchy became a congressman, and shortly before he retired from Congress, he was able to get significant funding through the federal government, which the Catskill Center was then able to convince New York State to match. And we were able to construct the visitor center that you see today, which opened actually July 1st of 2015. So we're right on. We're only a week away from our 8th birthday
Oh,
there
wow.
at the visitor center. The Catskill Center has entered into agreement with the state. So we own the land. We lease the land to New York State. They built the buildings, and then they signed an agreement with us to manage everything. So we provide the staffing, we provide the exhibits. We keep the lights on, all of that stuff. The building itself is the visitor center. So you come in, there's exhibits, there's information, there's staff, there's bathrooms. Besides the visitor center itself, it's about a 60-acre parcel that it sits on. There are a number of nature trails, so you can do, if you hiked every trail, it would be about 2 miles, and we're not talking about difficult trails by any means. They kind of go around the site, they go up the hill to a picnic area, and they go across Route 28 over to the Esopus. And our other claim to fame, we have an 80-foot tall fire tower there. It was actually from Venice, Florida. There is a company, you always wonder, like, is there a company that does these things? But there's a company that you can work with that will find you a fire tower. They will disassemble that fire tower wherever it is, bring it to where you want it to be, and then reassemble it. And so we worked with New York State to have that moved to the visitor center property. So when you're there, you can hike the trails, you can make a stop in the visitor center, and then climb the fire tower. And yes, you're not on top of a mountain, but it's actually a really unique view. You're well above the trees there in the Esopus Valley, and you're looking up and down the Esopus Valley into the mountains, surrounding it. So it's well worth the time and effort to go up there. It's also it is the tallest fire tower in the
Yep.
Catskills, and instead of the traditional wooden steps, it has the metal steps, the kind of corrugated metal steps, which you can see through. So it makes it to be a little more adventurous for those who are a bit afraid of heights to get to the top. Thankfully, the floor of the cab is still solid, so you're not
Yeah.
seeing all the way through it. But we have had folks on the stairs get a little freaked out, I guess would be the way to say it. But so be prepared. But it's one of the 6 fire towers of the Fire Tower Challenge now. So it is a stop for everybody that's taking part in the Fire Tower Challenge. And as you mentioned, we do sell patches at the visitor center itself. And if you hike all the fire towers, there is a fire tower patch, so you can pick it up right there.
Yeah. Awesome explanation of the visitor center and part of the history of the visitor center as well. So this all came about in 2015, correct?
Yeah. So a much older and grayer Jeff was standing in the audience as Governor Andrew Cuomo opened the visitor center. So it took, I think it was about 30 years from
Wow.
kind of the idea to the implementation. And I am famous for saying that things take time in the Catskills, but that's kind of a great example of things taking time in the Catskills. And it takes a lot of effort. That was a lot of people over that 30 years of kind of keeping the candle burning and keep pushing that and pushing the state. And it was really Congressman Hinchy at the end of his service in Congress getting that money that really pushed us over the edge. And now his daughter is a state senator, Michelle Hinchy, Senator Hinchy, here for the Catskills, and has picked up the mantle of being a champion for the region. Really, one of one of our first local assembly members since or assembly or Senate members since Maurice Hinchy to really stand up for the Catskills and kind of bring a lot of resources for the park and for the communities here. So kudos to him for getting us the visitor center, and kudos to Senator Hinchy now, his daughter Michelle, for continuing to support the whole region and making sure the Catskill Park is still that most important thing that he saw that it was.
Yeah. It's a great place, a phenomenal place. I've been there several times. The fire tower, like you said, it's not on the top of a peak, but it does look over the great Esopus Valley, historical spot in the Catskills where once railroads came through and logging and all these different types of aspects. So you're not getting the greatest view in the Catskills, but you are getting a historical, awesome view of the Esopus Valley that once was a great part of history of the Catskills. So once again, you got to stop there for the 6 fire tower challenge. So stop there and check it out, and also purchase something. It's a great place to purchase your new trails or a book. I've purchased several books from there. I keep saying that. I love purchasing books from there. I've purchased Michael Kudish's book. I've purchased several other history books. So good stuff.
And I would just add, if you're also welcome, just check in with the staff. If you do, it's a great spot for carpooling too. So,
Correct.
given the rise of our ever increasing use at trailheads, if you've got a group coming together, meet at the visitor center, leave some cars there, and take one car out to the trailhead.
Correct. Very big, nice parking area. Two different parking areas actually. So very nice. Actually, very good point. Also, so what made you want to make the Catskills Visitor Center like bigger and better for the Catskills? I mean, I know they definitely needed it, right?
I think it boils down to the Catskill Park is a park, and a park should have a visitor center. And we are missing something if we don't have a visitor center. And so the Catskill Center is committed to making the visitor center the biggest and best that it can be for the park. We've started out small. It's a small building. We pack a lot into a little space. But there are plans to continue to grow that site. The resources on there, things like a playground in the future. Eventually that building will need to be expanded to hold more and just to welcome more visitors as more and more folks come to the Catskills. We see I Love New York estimates 12 million people a year come to somewhere in the Catskills. And wouldn't it be great if even some relatively small percentage of that 12 million came to the visitor center or intersected with the programs of the Catskill Center and the visitor center to get information on, number one, what the park is, number two, what the forest preserve is. Like we are the only state with constitutionally protected forest lands in the country. The Adirondacks and the Catskills are unique, and every New Yorker should know how special they are. Giving people information about communities. Like, I don't know how often I hear from communities, like, it's really at Bel Air, you hear it a lot because everybody on 28 from Kingston all the way to Bel Air, people are going to turn off and maybe get their coffee or their, whatever it might be. You have Fleischmann's in Margaretville who are like, please turn left. And, people won't turn left unless they know. So if they stop at the visitor center, we can say like, hey, there's great things to the left, or, whatever it might be. And that's, specifically a winter thing, but often the visitor center, the stewards, the biggest question is, where can I get lunch? And so, our folks are often directing people not to, a busy trail or something like that, but to go get a hamburger in Tannersville or, whatever it might be, because again, things that are very basic to us as people who live and work and sort of are in the Catskills or just outdoors people in general, like it just comes to us, like we get it. But if your experience has never been in the Catskills, there's not a lot of tools to understand. So one of my goals with the visitor center is just to make sure it's the biggest, best tool. And then in terms of the work that I do at the Catskills Center with everything, it makes sure that, the Catskills really are a park. People appreciate it as a park, and that they're given the tools to responsibly enjoy the park, whether that's visiting communities and spending money and helping the local economies, or it's being educated about leave no trace and other things to get out and responsibly be on the trails and not harm the natural resources that are the reason they're there in the first place.
Yeah. And that's, once again, as it expands this, you have to expand as well with your visitor center. That's the most important thing. And that brings me to my next question. The rise of tourism here has increased significantly over the past, I don't know, 3-4 years. I mean, I was hiking here in 2015 is when I started hiking.
Hmm.
And, just seeing, I'm sorry to say, but like the rundown houses here and there and stuff like that have popped up to life. The old places inside, Tannersville, Hunter, all the small towns have now been brought back to life. The businesses, the mom and pops places, tourism has exploded. So I mean, you could probably say the same thing as well, being a foot in the doorway for the Catskills, right?
It's true. I would say over the last 10 years, we've really seen exponential growth of visitors to the Catskills, and that's borne out by tourism data. And anything you look at, whether it's trailhead registers, the trend is increasing use of everything, visitors to communities and to our natural areas. And that's why, there's many, we can, there's many theories about why that is, but we are within 3 hours of 12 million people. And I
Yeah.
think if you go out to 5 hours, it's an even, sort of that the great megapolis between Boston and Philadelphia and Washington, D.C. really is all within a day's drive of the Catskills. And the Catskills are an amazing place. And, in the past, maybe people went to the Berkshires, they went to Vermont, or I guess maybe the Shenandoah further south or whatever it might have been. And people bypass the Catskills because they either didn't know about it or whatever the reason was. But people are now like, why should I drive 5 hours to Vermont when I can drive two to the Catskills? And so you see, I as someone has lived and been in Hunter and Tannersville for a long time, I can remember when there wasn't a single business
Yeah.
almost in some of these places, and to see them be revitalized, whether that's through new hotels or new entrepreneurs, whatever it might be. Like I think it's exciting. I think it's something the Catskills have always wanted, because I can remember being as a kid hearing folks say nobody comes to the Catskills, and kind of the problem then was nobody was coming, and now all of the efforts that we've put together over the years have paid off to let folks know there is a Catskills. And, so we have people hiking, we have people skiing, we have people, staying in hotels of all sorts. We have resorts, we have, glamping, we have,
Yeah.
whatever it might be, you can find it here. And in all honesty, like, I think that's a great thing. And,
Yeah.
I know that some folks are like, oh my gosh, like I can't go on a hike and it's too busy or whatever. But you know what? Like even that, like we all know the busy places. If you want to go to Giant Ledge, you should know you're not going to have like a rustic wilderness experience of you being the only person watching the sunset from Giant Ledge. But you know what? Go hike the Huckleberry Loop, and you will never run into another person in all likelihood when you hike that. There's plenty of opportunities to still enjoy the Catskills in any way that you want. And I, for one, other than pushing the state to be more proactive about managing the park and ensuring that if there are challenges, that the challenges are met and addressed and resources are taken care of. I want folks to
Yeah.
experience the Catskills. The Catskills have made me the person that I am. I know they've made plenty of other people who they are. And how could I deny that to anyone else? It's really just trying to ensure, and that's partly my job and other folks like me that have these advocacy and policy jobs, and are in these organizations or agencies or communities, to make sure that these folks have the tools, have the resources, there's the infrastructure, whatever it might be, that folks are here having a good experience, helping communities and enjoying the environment and not harming it.
Yeah. Correct. And I was one of those guys, like maybe like I started 2015, as soon as I got into Catskills, I was like, I don't want anybody to know about this. I'm just like, I need this all to myself. But then,
Right.
as I matured and I grew into more volunteering and stuff like that, I could see like this can be, sustained if we all work together and people can enjoy this, everybody can enjoy this. And then I started feeling like, wow, I'm so glad so many of these people are enjoying this. God bless, there's people going up giant ledge with heels on and stuff like that, and but I'm just like, what, they're going to get the best view they've probably ever gotten in their life, and they're going to want to come back, and
Right.
then they're going to realize that they need better resources to come back. They're going to learn, and people are
You
going
know
to
what?
teach them.
And we all started somewhere, and we all probably took a hike in jeans and got wet and
Yeah.
had a miserable like, none of us are above having made mistakes in the past. And so, it's more, I think it's incumbent on us as the people here in the Catskills who love the Catskills, like you said, to volunteer, to give back, to support the organizations and the individuals, but really the organizations that are doing this work to intersect with these folks so that there are less of the wet jeans and bad experience. And gosh, like, if you can hike to Giant Ledge in high heels, more power to you. But I'd be dead on the first three steps. But you see all kinds, and I think it's kind of, we were all there once, and how can we do better to help folks experience it, love it, be inspired by this place, and move forward. Yeah, I have to laugh. Like, some people, are like, oh my gosh, like, the internet. You put Catterskill Falls on the internet, and like, if we only deleted it off the internet, then like nobody would know about Catterskill Falls. And it's like, well, gosh, like in the 18, whatever it was, Thomas Cole was here painting. Like, the Catskills were famous. We were the first tourist destination,
Yeah.
and like, nothing we do is going to kind of erase the Catskills from the collective memory of America and of people. And so, we have to be smart about it, and we have to push New York State to be smart about it. It's not their standard operating procedure to be that way. And so, I really appreciate the other groups that I work with that advocate and work closely with DEC, pushing them to do better and better for the Catskills.
Yeah. Exactly. So crazy rise that we've seen here, but also a good rise as well, helping out the communities, helping out different areas of the Catskills. So projects that the CVC, the Catskill Visitor Center, does now. You guys have, of course, the famous, awesome Fire Tower Challenge, 6 fire towers. What else do you guys do? Summer stewards.
Yeah, so the visitor center, like I said, it's a program of the Catskill Center, and the Catskill Center. We really have a number of different programs. So our biggest public program is the Visitor Center, and we're there. We also run the Catskill Stewards program, which is putting those folks at those high use locations. Since we started in 2018, we've greeted over 300,000 people at those locations. So that's a lot of hellos, and those are quality interactions. So that's more than just simply, "Hey, how you doing?" It's at least a short conversation. We run the Catskill Region Invasive Species Partnership, or CRISP, which is the Regional Invasive Species Program by New York State. So New York State contracts with the Catskill Center to do that. So we are doing invasive species work across the region. I've got several staff working on that. We manage the Catskill Fire Tower Project, which is the volunteer program that puts volunteers at the different fire towers. So if you're interested in volunteering to keep a fire tower open to the public on a weekend, and you want to spend the night up at the fire tower, check out our website, and there's an opportunity to volunteer there. We are a land trust, so we protect land across the Catskills. We have 2 public preserves. We have the Platte Clove Preserve in the town of Hunter, right there at the top of Platte Clove. And we also have the Thorn Preserve located in Woodstock, both open to the public with trails and resources there. We have conservation easements across thousands of acres in the Catskills, so protecting land that way. We've recently, in the last several years, worked with New York City on a program to protect stream sides. So we are looking at land along streams in the Schoharie Basin for the Schoharie Reservoir, and protecting those lands with the help of New York City. As I've mentioned earlier, I spend a lot of my time on policy and advocacy for the Catskills. So whether it's being in meetings about the Catskill Park, being on like the Catskill Strategic Advisory Committee, there's a forest preserve committees. There's all kinds of groups that just, we're staying kind of in touch with everything that's happening and trying again to push New York State to be its best that it can be here in the Catskills. I'm also in Albany, meeting with the governor's folks, meeting with legislators, always talking about the importance of the Catskills, talking about the importance of the forest preserve, working with our partners in the Adirondacks. The only reason we got the $8 million the last 2 years in the state budget is because the Adirondacks and Catskills teamed up. So we're doing that. So creating collaborations, creating teams, creating kind of policy goals, creating advocacy goals. We're on that. And then there's just a host of kind of little things that we do. We always try to create space for conversations in the Catskills, no matter the conversation. We are an organization that tries to balance both conservation and development. The full name is the Catskill Center for Conservation and Development. And I often joke that if both the environmentalists and the developers are upset with what I decide to do, I've probably found the middle path between the two that balances the two.
Yeah.
So we're not wholly an environmental organization and not wholly a kind of rampant development corporate organization. We are a nonprofit that really looks to protect both the environmental and economic resources here. And so, I spend also a lot of time. There's a lot of me and a lot of time in lots of places, but a lot of time just trying to work with like chambers and the byways and tourism and stuff like that, trying to knit all of those things together. Yeah, it's an amazing organization, 54 years strong. Like I said, many different Catskill centers over the years, but it's always been that mission to protect and enrich the environmental, cultural, and economic resources of the region. And I get to be everywhere, and some days that's great. Some days I feel a little run down, but I have an amazing team of staff at the Catskill Center working on all these things, but I also have an amazing team of people here in the Catskills that I get to work with, whether they're at the state and the various agencies, whether they're at other organizations, or whether they're community members or town officials. Like we all look out for the Catskills, and it's really awesome to work in such a place where there's always negative people, but a lot of the work, and I hear it over and over from other places in New York and other things, that like we all just get along in the Catskills, and
Nice.
that goes a long way to being able to do good work. When you're less interested in sort of whose name is at the top of the banner or whatever it might be, and everybody just wants to do good. With the understanding that every organization and everybody has to have their bit of the pie, but we definitely are much more collaborative here than most other areas, and that's just kind of a wonderful thing to work in, and it lets us and the collective us do so much.
Yeah. And it keeps your foot in the door, and to keep pushing that door, it's as you guys working together, keeps pushing that door open more and more and more to basically say, hey, the Catskills are here and the Catskills are big. Keep your eye on us.
Yeah, if I show up to a legislator's door or to the governor's office, and it's me, it's a town official, it's someone from a county tourism agency, it's someone from another environmental organization, and maybe, I don't know, some other folks, like that is way stronger. And we can, there's things we won't agree on, but there's plenty of stuff we will agree on, and we can open that door and have that conversation and hopefully get those resources, because they're impressed that sort of separate group of interests were able to come together to say, this about the Catskills is important. Like we need you to fund this, or we need you to give $8 million to DEC for the forest preserve, whatever that might be. Like that collaborative spirit is really what sets us apart from other places where, groups or towns or whatever might be fighting each other to try to get their piece of the pie. You're not going to get a piece of the pie if you're all fighting. But where we come together, we're able to get more of the pie to us,
Yeah. Awesome. That's fantastic. All right. So Jeff, another big thing that the Catskills Visitor Center does as we're getting into summer is the summer stewards. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, so we since 2018 have been working with the state and working just on our properties too to place paid stewards. So these are seasonal staff of the Catskill Center, and they're trained in leave no trace. They're trained in recreate responsibly, authority of the natural resource. They go through training for first aid, for all of the stuff that you would expect someone to be outdoors for. And then they are put out at various high use locations throughout the Catskill Park. And today, that's Peekamoose Blue Hole, Catskill Falls, Platte Clove, the Devil's Path, and our fire towers. And so we have people out there, they're all full time. So we have some areas like Blue Hole is 7 day a week coverage because of the permit system there in Blue Hole. They help the rangers enforce. We don't actually enforce the permit system, but we help educate people about the permit system and ask to see the permits, et cetera. So we're helping out there 7 days a week. The other locations are all 5 days a week. And as I mentioned earlier, they've been able to say hello and intersect with over 300,000 people at this point since 2018. So more than 250,000 people in those high use locations. Catskill takes the crown as the busiest spot.
Yeah.
But Blue Hole is actually not that far behind, and unfortunately, a lot of that is letting folks know that they need a permit and they wouldn't be able to enjoy the Blue Hole. So it's not always such a nice job for the stewards.
Yeah, right.
They do have to say no sometimes. Generally, folks, there's plenty of grumbling sometimes, but folks are generally understanding, and we've worked with the state to identify a number of areas that we can redirect folks to, like visitor center is one of them. Like get them there, then they can kind of figure out where to go from there. Stewards are there really to educate, to be gentle suggesters. If folks are showing up and maybe are improperly dressed or whatever it might be, to kind of give them tips about how to enjoy the place. Especially on the Devil's Path, our person runs into kind of a lot of folks who just aren't totally prepared for the experience of hiking one of the mountains of the Devil's Path. So we actually our person carries extra water so that, like, unfortunately, we run into folks who think a small water bottle might be enough to do a loop of Indian Head or whatever it might be. So we're doing that. We're intersecting folks really where they are and trying to give them the best experience and the best sense of place when they are there, educating them about the park, educating them about the place to have a hamburger after visiting Catskill, whatever it might be. They're there to help. It's really, I said earlier, people don't know what they don't know. And, I'm a firm believer in that. And really my hope for the Stewards program since we started has been giving people that information that they don't know in a pleasant and in a nice way. Like there is nothing worse. It's happened to me. I've been lectured by people who think they're more important hikers or better whatever it is than I am, and it's just a bad experience to sort of be talked down to and be treated poorly, and these folks don't deserve that. They're coming from an experience that is different than ours, and my sincere hope is that the stewards, or whether it's people at the visitor center or the stewards on the ground out in the field, we're a happy person, greeting people, meeting them where they're at, and then giving them the information they need so that hopefully they avoid bad outcomes. And it can be all kinds of bad outcomes, whether it's wrong footwear and slipping and falling and hurting yourself, or the bad outcome of doing something wrong and hurting the natural resource that you're there to see, or maybe it's not throwing that banana peel off the trail. Whatever it might be, it's giving folks better tools to better enjoy the park in a more responsible way.
Yeah, very, very important for the Catskills, as any volunteers or the stewards are giving what they call, and I'm going to grab the microphone and do this because I love doing it, education. Education is key in this day and age. Education is key over the internet, where there's face-to-face and everything like that. That's why basically I did this podcast, was to give education about the Catskills, give anybody and everybody that didn't know who Jeff Senterman is, or who didn't know who Moldemar is, who didn't know who a bunch of people are in the Catskills that are important to the Catskills that can give education about the Catskills and make people smarter about their decisions that they're going to make, or make people a better person when they come visit here. That is a big key. That's why we have people like the summer stewards to help out people that are going up to, maybe, like you said, Indian Head, have one water bottle for, they're like, oh, 5 miles can't be that much. Yeah, 5 miles isn't that much if you have, 1,900 feet of gain. It's a hell of a lot, actually. If you're on a flat walking trail, it still is actually a lot for one water bottle. But, to have these stewards there to educate in a, like you said, a nice, respectful way, it'll turn these people's heads around and want to come back again, instead of some, person being on trail like, yeah, you have one water bottle, you're not going to survive, and then just takes off,
Right.
Once again, awesome help that the visitor center does. The summer stewards are very important. Any stewards are very important, as in giving out education for the Catskills. So with the visitor center, do you have any big projects coming up? You guys have anything on the agenda that you want to talk about?
There's always, we're continuing to do the work we always do. We've got a couple projects happening at the visitor center site itself. So if you're there, you'll notice kind of an overgrown garden type thing next to the visitor center that was originally envisioned as a rain garden. It never quite worked the way it was designed. So we had a recent major donor step up to help us change that from a rain garden, which didn't work, to a pollinator garden, which won't need the water and will be able to manage it as a pollinator garden. So expect to see that sort of scraped clean. We'll be sterilizing the soil so that none of the seed stock can come back from the old site, and then replanting it this fall as a pollinator garden. So come next spring, it'll be a great demonstration project of what a native pollinator garden can look like. We've also got some other projects happening on site, thanks to another donor who is going to help us update all the signage on the site itself. So many of the interpretive signs around the trails and stuff have started to show their age after 8 years. We'll get that all done. And we're also engaged in a study right now, working with a consultant to help us figure out how to make the visitor center itself is set back from Route 28, so it's not, it doesn't capture your eye as you're driving by. So signage and the entryway into that visitor center is key. If I've heard any complaint, it is that the sign is too small for the visitor center. I agree 100%. It's always a process. And it's kind of been the bane of my executive directorship since I started, that the sign is too small. We've been through iterations. They're still too small. We are working with someone who is going to help us redo the whole entryway and a big sign, so that folks driving on Route 28, because we know they're going faster than the speed limit, will be able to see and slow down and turn into the visitor center in a better way. Other things we're working on, the Thorn Preserve. We've got a pilot program about water chestnut removal from the small pond there that's happening. We're also kind of doing some of the trails there. At Platte Clove, we are stabilizing the red cabin. So anybody who has hiked through there knows of the red artist cabin. That is an old building that is showing its age, and so we're working to make sure that it doesn't sort of fall prey to old age and short and long-term damage, and also trying to figure out how can we better deal with the parking there, and also just information delivery. So can we utilize that red cabin as a visitor interpretive site, whatever it might be, to try to get more people more information in a better way. I know our CRISP people, the invasive folks, are working throughout the region. There's a number of
I lost you, Jeff. Oh,
so I am sorry about that. My computer reset.
no problem. It was quick. So I think you were talking about CRISP.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say, our CRISP folks are working on a number of invasive species. There's a spotted lanternfly, there's Hemlock woolly adelgid, emerald ash borer, We this year we have an aquatic invasives manager on staff who is doing a lot of work in the lakes, kind of in our western region of CRISP. The CRISP region goes quite a bit into the southern tier, so we're kind of expanding there. So you'll probably see boat stewards and or staff doing invasive removal in aquatic areas. Yeah, and then all of our normal stuff that we do on a daily basis, whether it's at the visitor center, whether it's in Albany,
Yeah.
whether it's me at meetings, we'll be out there out and about.
Nice. So once again, keeping your foot in the door and not making that door close to the Catskills. That's what we want. Keeping it in a better place. Any yearly events that we can participate in? I for one just know about the Catskill Expo, correct?
Yeah, so we have
That's the big one.
we have three major events every year. We have our summer gathering, which is kind of a celebration of all things Catskills. That happened the Friday of June 9th. And so we just passed that. And then the Catskill Great Outdoor Expo happened on June 10th. So those are two June events every June. Usually that's second weekend of June because that's also Get Outdoors Day that New York State celebrates. So we combine our expo and our summer gathering with that celebration about getting outdoors. The expo this year was phenomenally successful at the Visitor Center. I think it's year 5 of doing the expo. We had a break because of COVID for a little while. We started at the Earth Center in Arkville with very small the first year. We then moved to Kingston at the Best Western Conference Center and did that for 2 years before we hit the COVID years. So we had a pause there. And then last year and this year, we've done it at the Visitor Center. And really what it is, it's an opportunity for all kinds of organizations, businesses, communities, tourism, whoever you may be. If you have a connection to the outdoors, or you just want to celebrate the Catskills, we welcome you to come to the expo. We set you up under tents and everything, tables, welcome the public. We had over 600 visitors this year and over
Nice.
50 vendors. Every year gets bigger and better. Even from pre-COVID to post-COVID, we got bigger and better the first year we were back. So we're excited. We're already starting to plan for next June. And if folks are interested, they can always just reach out to us. And we're happy to keep you in the loop on that if you're a future vendor that you want to be involved or you want to stay up to date with when that's happening. Our other big event is our fall gala or fall benefit, which happens every October, usually on the Saturday of Columbus Day weekend. And that really is a big event at the Visitor Center, a little bit on the more organized and fancy side, but kind of a dinner, awards, information about the park, just a beautiful evening at the Visitor Center. It's usually peak weekend in terms of foliage, so it's a great time to be in the Catskills. It's our main fundraising event too for the entire organization. So whether you're purchasing a ticket and attending, or if you're a business and you're sponsoring the event, it all helps to go towards the work that we're doing there in the Catskills. Because really, all of the work of the Catskill Center, we do have some contracts and we do receive some state funding, but the vast majority of the work that we do is funded with donor dollars, and so and also with volunteer time. So whether you are a volunteer at the fire tower or you're giving a monetary donation to support the work we're doing, I know and understand that you're giving something that's really valuable to you to help us do the valuable work across the Catskills.
Yeah, about someplace you love. Okay, I'm going to be hopefully attending that Catskill Great Outdoor Expo next year. Maybe I'll jump in on that for something.
Please do.
That'd be awesome. So Jeff, how can the public help with the Catskill Visitor Center?
So really, I just said it, but the Catskill Center and the Visitor Center really work on the energy of volunteers and on generous donors. And so if there is something you would like to volunteer for, we have volunteer programs for fire towers. You can volunteer at the Visitor Center itself and help meet and greet the public. With the invasive species programs, we have volunteer work trips all of the time, all across the Catskills. So you can get involved, whether it's learning how to identify species so that you can, help find where they are and track them. And then, or it's, we have days where we're out pulling something or, doing that. So plenty of different opportunities. Also, when we do advocacy days in Albany, the public and are always welcome to join us. I think it's an awesome opportunity for folks to see how state government works. I think some people think it's this mystical, crazy, like, thing, but you know what? Everybody are people, and they listen to their constituents. And so I always love bringing people who love the Catskills up there to educate lawmakers about why the Catskills are important. So there's any number of ways to volunteer, and even beyond the Catskill Center, there's the 3500 Club, trailhead stewards. There are the trail conferences, trail maintainers, and trail crews and lean-to crews. I would say that if you aren't someone who can make time is your thing that you want to donate, there is no shortage of opportunities. The other aspect for us is that it does cost money to do all of this across the Catskills. It doesn't just happen. And so, in order for me to be advocating in Albany, or for my staff to be running the visitor center, or folks taking care of the two preserves that we have, whatever it might be, all of that costs money. And it's just through the generosity of individuals, foundations, and others, but mostly individuals, to support the Catskill Center. So, I welcome you to visit catskillcenter.org. There's a big donate button right there. There's also a volunteer button, and either of them interest you, click on hopefully both. And we will be very grateful for the support, both for volunteers and for supporting us with donations, because that's how that works. It's how we do our work. It's how any nonprofit does the work that it needs to do, is that we exist and do our work on the generosity of volunteers and donors.
Correct. Awesome. So I will have those your links posted in the show notes. So definitely get a hold of Catskills Visitor Center if you want to volunteer and or donate, because once again, like you said, with the Catskill Park days, I was there back in, like, I think it was 2017, 2018. I don't even remember, but that was fun. That was different. That was definitely a different thing. That was a big step for me, because I've never done that stuff before in my life. And going in and talking about search and rescue to legislators, for a guy that has, tattoos and a lip ring, they're just like, what the hell's this guy doing here? I'm like, I'm search and rescue volunteer. We save lives in the Catskills. And they're just like, what? And the Catskills has search and rescue? And I'm just like, exactly. So doing that is a fun time. Catskill Park Days, that's what it's called, correct?
Yes. It's in February, so we're in the middle of budget season. Again, folks can sign up for our e-blast and newsletter and stuff like that. If you become a member with a donation, you'll get our magazine that keeps you up to date with all of that stuff. But also just follow the Catskill Center on social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter. Check us out. There's both Catskill Center, and then there's Catskills Visitor Center as our sub program. But if you sign up for Catskill Center stuff, you will get everything, and go from there.
Rock on. So Jeff, let's go a little personal real quickly. What is your favorite hike in the Catskills?
I gotta say Indian Head. I grew up in the shadow of Indian Head, so our family place is at the end of Prediger Road at the head of the Devil's Path. So I was always on Indian Head for some reason or another, and I think it encapsulates everything that's beautiful about the Catskills. Like, if you could only take one hike in the Catskills, that's what I would tell people to hike.
Sweet. Yes, it actually offers everything: views, awesome challenging climbs, stuff like that, awesome flat rock going. That's definitely a good first killer starter, but that's definitely a good one that'll get hooked. So,
well, I tell people who are like, there's no hard trails in the Catskills, that's the trail I tell them to start with. If I have visitors that aren't quite as maybe gung-ho, the Hunter Mountain Loop is my other go-to. And I think that one also, you also get two lean-tos, a fire tower, and views, and a loop hike. So it's a wonderful both of them are wonderful intros, depending on the kind of person you're trying to introduce to the Catskills. But I love them both. So
excellent. Good suggestion. Love that. So any future plans for you and or the Catskill Visitor Center?
Oh, well, for the visitor center and for the Catskill Center, we are always working. We're going to be engaging in some strategic planning with the board of directors. So I would imagine in the next few years we'll see some new initiatives and new efforts happening. We'll continue to maintain everything and work on it. For me personally, we continue to Mo and I continue to love and everything about the Catskills. So we're just out and about. I love seeing Mo's business grow as he's getting more people outdoors with his guiding business. Um,
Hike on
I
Guides, by the way, mention that Hike on
Yes.
Guides. He was previously on here. He was awesome.
Hike on Guides. He's an awesome guide. I've never seen, and actually for the guiding, like it's wonderful for me to hike with him with people because I think that if you hike a lot, you can kind of become blasé to a lot of stuff. But when you're hiking with someone who's new to hiking, to see them get excited about everything excites you. So I always love that opportunity. We've got some plans for long distance hikes and stuff if I can finagle the time off. And yeah, we just love being out and about and being of the Catskills and trying to do good here. So I always am trying to not be behind a desk or on a Zoom as much as possible. So any excuse to be out and about is always a good excuse for me.
Fantastic. I love it. Also, so what about post hike brews and bites after you guys go for a hike? Where do you like to go and crash? Basically, that's what I say.
Well, it helps that we live in Tannersville, so almost everything is pretty close. But we're fans of the Westkill Brewery.
Of course.
When we're over that way here in Tannersville, I think we're really lucky that there's several great restaurants. If we're feeling really lazy, there's always the diner. But Poncho's here in Tannersville
Yeah.
is a great place. Phoenicia, it seems choices come and go, but there's always Brios, and they're always open, and you can always get cheesecake afterwards. So,
Oh,
uh,
it's the spot. It hits the spot.
it totally does. Otherwise a cold Mountain Dew somewhere from anywhere, basically. So,
I agree. I agree. Excellent suggestion. Pancho's Villas is awesome. Love that spot. Once again, Jeff, thank you for joining me on the show. I really appreciate it. It's been a while. We had this planned a while back, but we got it done, and I very enjoyed it. There's a lot of great, important information about the Catskills. Education is what we need. Like I said, always say the foot in the door is what we need, and that's what you guys are doing at the Catskills Visitor Center, and it's super important for the Catskills. And I appreciate you and all your associates in what you do. You guys are really helping the Catskills out. I really appreciate it.
well, and thank you for all that you're doing, and for everybody that's doing something for the Catskills out there. We wouldn't be where we are if it wasn't for everybody sharing that love for this place.
Correct. Awesome. Yes, definitely. The love is definitely big here in the Catskills, and we're very grateful for it. So thank you for the monthly supporters. Really appreciate you guys supporting for the show. Thank you to everybody who has donated for the coffees. Thank you to the sponsors. Really appreciate you guys sponsoring the show and believing in me. I really, 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 really appreciate anybody who is listening to the show. I hope you guys are still enjoying it. I'm trying to keep this going like I have before. So hopefully the future will be bright. So Jeff, thank you for joining me on the show. Really appreciate it. Hope to see you again sometime soon.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to it.
All right, man. Have a good night, and I will see you soon, hopefully.
Awesome.
Hey guys, I just want to thank you for listening to the show. If you enjoyed the show, subscribe and throw down a smooth review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any podcast platform that you use. You can also check daily updates of the podcast, hikes, hiking memes, and local news on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and the official website of the show. Remember this, you just keep on living, man. LIVIN.
Wicked, 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 wicked.